What unsolved mystery would you like to be explained in your lifetime? Chiron Horman went missing when I was in 5th grade. He was in 2nd grade. He went to a different elementary school than me, but everyone in the Portland area knew about him, and still will if you mention his name. There were signs everywhere for him, and you occasionally still see them around. He'd be 17 now. It's largely believed his stepmother had something to do with his disappearance, but there's been no evidence to suggest what happened to him. Portland remembers him, and we want to know where he is. Brandon Swanson. Car breaks down. On the phone with dad. Says something like "oh shit" while still taking to dad and supposedly walking to the town dad was waiting for him. That's it, never heard from ever again. Relatively recently too. Just kind of makes someone wonder. Edit, it wasn't hogs, very unlikely it was a wolf or a bear. Knowing the area of Marshall MN, he did in fact go through the river, but the dogs had his scent after the river also. No, I don't think it was necessarily a person, and no, I don't find it more interesting than aliens, but it was either comment aliens for the 400th time or put out an unsolved case from a town I spent a few summers in and have heard about happening. Edit, my friend who grew up there said town folk think he may have passed out in a field and got ran over by a combine and didn't tell. In 2015, one of my brother's good friends went to the Grand Canyon to be a river guide. I remember him calling my dad to find a way around some closed roads to get to Colorado since my dad works the state. He was so excited for that summer job, and would talk about it constantly at pickup soccer games. Fast forward not even a week, and my brother is contacted by authorities saying he has gone missing and wondered if he had a reason to disappear. What's scarier is he was with a group of people, had his life jacket on, and just disappeared completely in the matter of seconds. There has been no new leads or any body or belongings found. I really feel for the family, and I hope they can get closure soon. This story keeps me awake some nights hoping that something new will come around. It really put a strain on our small community as he was a very likable guy, and especially the fact he was someone's son in a strong family. The murder of Jenny Lo Chang at San Francisco State University in 1977. She was found naked and stabbed to death in a locked reading room of the J. Paul Leonard Library that only school staff and faculty had access to. Many speculate that it was the Zodiac Killer because of the similar circumstances around the murder, but to this day has not been solved. I'm currently a cinema student at SFSU doing a video project about the whole thing, and I'd love to see if anything can be uncovered using new DNA tools. I had a friend disappear a few years ago. Walked out of a bar and was never seen again. He didn't drive, so he was either on foot or hitched a ride. Police searched all over the area with cadaver dogs, nothing turned up. Lots of people said he's probably dead, but I won't believe it until a body is found. I know something about him that maybe others don't. He slept rough sometimes, when he was stressed. I saw him walking down an alley once, totally filthy, and obviously had been sleeping outside for a few days. He could have easily hitched a ride far away and lived homeless in another town somewhere. I think this is what happened to some homeless people. They had a mental break, gave up on living a normal life. Moved to another town where nobody knows them and they just exist anonymously. There's a few murderers and disappearances I'm curious about, but they've been brought up already, so I'll say, the Voynich manuscript. The materials used have been proven to be from the correct time period, but it's written in a still completely unknown language, and has yet to be even partly decoded. I guess, chances are, it's medieval medical/astronomical book. Also the Tamam Shud case. Unknown body found on an Australian beach. No sign of foul play or drowning, and had a strange coded message in his pocket. The body was found in 1948. He's never been identified. If I remember correctly, the labels had been removed from his clothes, and he didn't seem to be from the area. Very random, but here goes. I lived in China when I was 10. I lost my favorite water bottle at the local pool one day. I moved to Australia when I was 11, so a year later. I ended up finding that water bottle under a bench in our schoolyard. I know because it has a sticker with my name on it. I don't know if I imagined the whole thing, or my water bottle teleported its way to another country. Edit, sound cheesy, but this is the first time that my comment blew up. Unfortunately, I don't know if this has been a false memory or not, but it's interesting nonetheless. Edit 2, some details. 1. I am a Chinese female, an only child, and my parents are not the pranking type. I know the water bottle is mine because it is a Chinese brand, has a distinct print on it, and the name sticker has both my Chinese and English name written on it, in my handwriting. 2. I regret not picking up the water bottle. It was my favorite at the time. I ran straight home, 2 minutes away from school, and told my mom. My mom said, "Wow, really? Why don't you bring it back?" My mom gets upset when I lose things, so I do remember losing the water bottle at the pool the previous summer. However, when I ran back to school, the bottle was nowhere to be found. It was a Saturday and I was the only one playing in the schoolyard. Truly a r/glitch in the Matrix moment, as some of you said. The truth about my HS boyfriend's older brother Destri's death. He died from a single .22 gunshot wound directly between his eyes, supposedly self-inflicted. No powder marks or burns on his face or hands. The gun was placed perfectly on top of a picture of him and his girlfriend with the barrel pointing toward the center of the table. A few droplets of blood were under the edge of the photo and trailing off the table in the direction of his body. He was found face down, with his left arm under his body and his class ring loose beneath him. It was known that he had a habit of fiddling with it when he was bored or idle. The local sheriff's office declared his death a pristine suicide and quickly moved on. No autopsy was performed, and he was cremated. They declared in their report that he had shot himself between the eyes while looking down, using his non-dominant hand. So here's the thing. The sheriff, convinced that this was just another suicide, didn't dig any further. They ignored the marks on the door to where Destry was found, which indicated that someone forcefully made their way in. They didn't speak to the last people to see him. They didn't conduct an autopsy on the body of a minor who died an unattended death. They didn't fingerprint the gun. If they had spoken to the last people who saw Destry, they would have found that it was his cousin. This particular cousin, R, was known to have a problem with meth, a jealousy complex, and had been involved with a tragic death just months prior. After Destry died, the cousin put on a show that would make Meryl Streep proud. Sobbing, crying, telling anyone he could that if only it could have been him, and why does this keep happening to me? Months later, R admitted to family that he had been high on ice and done something that he would forever regret, but didn't say what that thing was. Destry's parents pursued their own investigation using private investigators and retired law enforcement officers from a different area. All of these independent folks declared that Destry undoubtedly died from a homicide. This happened just days after I turned 18. Destry and I were the same age, and I am in my 30s now. I dated his brother for almost 4 years and watched how this tragedy tore his family apart. Not a day goes by that I don't think about Destry, and I just keep hoping that someday, someone who knows the truth will come forward. There was a Polaroid found in a parking lot. The picture was of a young boy and a teenage girl, hands and feet tied, and a gag around their mouths, in the back of a van. The person that found the picture said that there was a van parked there earlier. Nobody can identify the people in the picture. I believe some thought that the boy was a certain missing child, but was later disproven. Not sure about that. But I don't believe they were ever found, or if the people were even ID'd. Found this article about it. One family believes that the girl is Dara Calico, but it's not conclusive if it is her. Another family thought that the boy was theirs, who went missing during a hunting trip. However, his remains were later found and he had died of exposure, likely got lost. This picture was from 1988, and we still don't have answers. There's a kind of hole right next to Barton Creek Pool in Austin, TX. On the other side of the dam. It's connected to the creek that leads to the lake. One day, I nearly drowned because right in front of me was a huge fish the size of me that looked like a barracuda with huge teeth. The sight of it scared me so much I inhaled water. I wanna know, WTF was that and why did no one else see it and why hasn't the news reported barracudas or tigerfish or whatever is our lakes? I guess it's not a huge deal or anything known, but it sure has hugged the hell out of me for a few years. So I was at college and decided to go for a little burn run before one of my exams. I lived in the dorms so I couldn't smoke there. I studied all semester and am usually high while studying, so I wanted to toke up a bit before the exam. I had an hour left until the start of the exam, so a buddy of mine decided we would go on our normal road, but turn around after 15 minutes, making it a 30-minute round trip with plenty of time to get to class and prepare. I drove my old Camry straight on the same road for 15 minutes, found a good place to turn around, and made a complete 360 back the direction I came. But as I keep driving I realize nothing looks familiar, and my buddy says the same. We pull over and open up our phone's GPS and somehow we're an hour away from our school. Some sort of wormhole took us an hour away in 15 minutes. I was late to my test, but luckily my professor let me take it. My friend and I still have no idea how that happened and no one tends to really believe us. When I was 5 or 6, can't remember how old I was outside of my apartment, in the hall playing with something, Probably a Transformers toy, and this kid who looked a little older than me, probably 3 years older, was on his bicycle and talked to me for a bit, all while doing amazing stints on his bicycle, like standing in the chair of the bicycle while riding it and doing handstand on the chair while riding. He then cycled off and never came back. A few hours later, police and a couple ring my doorbell and ask if I've seen their kid who was missing for 3 days. I was shocked and told them that I indeed did see him, but security cameras show that I was all alone in the hallway, wasn't talking to anyone, just sitting there and playing with my toy. I thought it was a dream, but I'm sure it wasn't, because one thing I remember to this day was his name, Ryan. Apparently they were in their hometown, which is a 5-hour flight away from where I live, and he drove off on his bike never to be seen again. What I want to know is, what happened to the kid? Why did his parents specifically knock at my door to ask about him? Why do I still remember his name? That's all.
Thanks for watching. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe for more videos.